Welcome to Mitzvah Expo, the Jewish community organization showcase hosted by Rabbi Cantor Dr. Linda Bernstein.
Shalom and welcome to Mitzvah Expo, a new podcast and website showcasing the organizations and initiatives that enhance Jewish life, fight injustice, support Israel, strengthen our ties to the broader community, and more. I'm Rabbi Linda. Our goal is simple. We want you to get informed and be inspired by the work these valuable Jewish organizations do on our behalf every day. Alongside this podcast, our website at mitzvahexpo.org serves as a companion hub. There you'll find a showcase page for every organization featured on the program, with more information about their work and ways to connect with them. Today, our Mitzvah Expo featured organization is Jewish National Fund USA. I'm pleased to welcome its longtime CEO, Russell F. Robinson, considered one of the leading Zionist figures in the diaspora, having shepherded this venerable organization into the 21st century as one of the most effective, trusted, and visionary organizations for the land and people of Israel. Among his boldest initiatives is his plan to develop the World Zionist Village, a 16-acre, $350 million hub for Zionist learning, currently under construction in Beersheba. Under Robinson's leadership, the organization is also securing Israel's future by developing the most livable towns and cities in Israel's north and south to attract 800,000 new residents, while linking learning, travel, and leadership so youth, families, and adults can stay connected to Israel from generation to generation. Thank you so much for joining me today on Mitzvah Expo. You are our first guest, and we're very honored to have you representing the Jewish National Fund USA.
Well, thank you, Rabbi, for having me.
I wanted to begin by asking a kind of a basic question here, and that is, what is the Jewish National Fund USA, and what is your core mission?
So it's an easy answer for me to give. The Jewish National Fund is the caretaker of the land of Israel for the Jewish people everywhere. And I make that statement of what do you mean a caretaker for the land of Israel? So we're 125 years old, Linda. We were an organization that literally, what did it do? It brought you none other than the land of Israel after 2,500 years of yearning. And, it was Peter Herzl who said, it's enough talk, we have to raise some money. And so tzedakah, raising money is so important. And that's what the Jewish National Fund is all about, is repurchasing. And I use the word repurchasing the land of Israel because you could sit around and debate, is it ours biblically? Is it legally ours? And we can have that discussion. Well, that doesn't get you anywhere, but we repurchase the land acre by acre, which makes Israel one of the few nations in the world that has a purchase order as part of its existence. And so we deal today, the Jewish National Fund USA deals primarily in the north and the south of Israel, bringing populations 800,000 people, 500,000 people to the Negev, the southern part of Israel, which is 60% of the land of Israel. And we're bringing 300,000 people to the Galilee, the north, which is 17% of the land of Israel. And we are the number one organization for Zionist engagement in the United States.
That's an incredible mission, and I totally respect what you're doing because having been to Israel numerous times myself, my daughter actually lives in Jerusalem with her family. Yes, and she's, last time I checked with her, she was in the shelter and she's okay. Basically, what's going on. It's because I get the alerts on my phone, so right. I kind of know what's going on. Anyway, as it says, in your website, I've been reading about it, and it says that, the majority of the population is concentrated like in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa. And your mission is to develop that other part of the country and make it appealing for young people who will be the future of Israel.
So I use it. I use my phrase. I'll use the Greater Israel phrase, which will raise an eyebrow on one side, not raise an eyebrow on the other. But if you take 60% of the land of Israel, Linda, and you have and when we started, less than 5% of the population. Now, you will lose your land if you don't grow on it, live on it, or develop it, because either Mother Nature will take it away, or other people will take it away. And that means we're going to lose 60% of the land of Israel. But 17% of the land of Israel is the north of the Galilee. So again, population 300,000, 500,000 to the south. So let's just take that land mass. Let's take the potential of loss, but let's also give you the loss in that middle, that Jerusalem, Haifa, Tel Aviv corridor, where your daughter lives, is 82% of the population. Now, so security-wise, it's not smart and everything else, but I'm in New York. And how did Westchester get built, and how did New Jersey get built? I know New Jerseyites will be mad at me, and Long Island get built. It was people who couldn't afford to live in New York, but they wanted to be in this fabulous triangle area, right? So if you don't build Long Island, Westchester, New Jersey, they will move to Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I have nothing against Phoenix, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is that you have to give. If they don't have a place to live in Jerusalem, in Haifa, in that Tel Aviv corridor, they're going to move to London, to Los Angeles, to Germany, not because they are not Zionists. We're sitting here because they have a choice. And if job opportunity and housing is available. So we have to create for the greatest part of Israel. If we were part of this great 21st century pioneering spirit of building this nation that's still under creation, why are we going to stop when we have 77% of the land of Israel that we have to bring our people to? Our job is not finished.
Definitely. It seems like it's almost beginning at this point. So what do you think are like the major misconceptions about the Jewish National Fund USA?
So I never use misconceptions. People know us for the blue box. It sits behind me, the history of the blue box, and they'll know us for trees. And so people say, well, I thought your only blue boxes and trees. I said, well, let's just start with that. Let's say that's true. Why did we raise money in blue boxes, or why did we have trees as a monetary, fundraising opportunity? It was to repurchase land. It was to develop community cities like the city of Tel Aviv over 110 years ago. The first 65 lots were purchased on a sand dune that was now Tel Aviv 110 years ago. So yes, we're known as the blue box and the tree certificates, but what we did with those dollars is why we're doing what we're doing today, because we have strategic thoughts, we have plans, and we have vision. And I tell our donors and I tell our professional staff, Rabbi, all the time, we don't do any projects, ever. We have zero projects. We have great vision. And under vision are a lot of projects. Now, that doesn't take away from anything anybody wants to do, but ours is about developing population growth in the South and population growth in the North and Zionist engagement. So if those that we do work for that, so I can give you outrageous kind of a thought. We built a medical center down in the Arava. The Arava is between the Dead Sea and Eilat. When we started there almost 20 years ago, Rabbi, there was 7,100 people in both of those areas. 71, average age was 70 years old. I don't have to be a demographic scientist to figure that we're going to lose a large swath of land. Today, the population is 24,000, and we just had another 500 housing sites. Young people, average age is 43. But because we had to come up with what was the roadblocks and then how was the solution, so we built a medical center. The Jewish National Fund had never built a medical center before, but if you were a young family and you wanted to move there and your son or daughter at 3 years old had a whooping cough and you were told that you had to go an hour and a half, 2 hours to a hospital wait on an emergency room, and I do say this, the fathers probably wouldn't know the difference, but the mothers sure would, and they'd say, we're not moving here. So we find what are those solutions for population growth, economic development in the North and the South, and then we create a lot of projects, but with the rippling effect, the circle of impact that truly is about strategic thinking.
Well, I know you don't like the word misconception, but for me personally, my main image of the JNF, or Jewish National Fund USA, all of these years has been focused on the blue box and the trees. Okay. And so for me, this has been a real education to learn about all the things that you are doing. And so what are some of the key initiatives that you are working on and focused on right now?
So in the northern part of Israel, which has had its a tremendous roller coaster of catastrophe today. We see what's going on in the north. We came up with our plan to bring 300,000 people to the northern part of Israel. It was strategic and it was thoughtful. And then October 7th, October 8th, October 9th, and you lose populations. Kiryat Shimona empties out. You have all areas, people for 18 months. I just want you to imagine 18 months out of your home, 24 hours notice. And, so we had to respond, and we built a plan called Reimagine. And the Reimagine was how to bring people back and how to then increase the population. So people thought we were crazy. You'll be lucky to get people moving back, period. Well, that's not the way we do things. We dream and then we work, and our donors and volunteers have been working. By the way, we had 8,000 volunteers that went to Israel through the Jewish National Fund in the past 2.5 years. Without subsidies, they paid for themselves, but we were the most trusted organization, and people came, and 8,000 of them volunteering, not only picking oranges or fruit, but cleaning people's homes as they prepared to come home. But in the north, we're building a medical center up in Kiryat Shimona. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you that in 2026, for the entire upper eastern part of the Galilee, forget just Kiryat Shimona, I'm talking about the whole regions up there, Metula communities, who literally had been built since, before 1948. If you had a heart attack, which I will tell you, Hebra Kadisha was easier because you probably would have not get help. Again, I go to the children. If you want people to move there was no medical services. We're building a 44,000 square foot medical center in Kiryat Shimona to serve the entire region. It is not just a medical center, it's a place of hope that people are looking, they're taking pictures, and they're moving back. Kiryat Shimona is moving back. The regions are moving back. We're with those people every day. We were with them yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and we're going to be with them. We're building a culinary institute. Now, if you want to talk about a ridiculous project in itself, if you looked at it, why would you build a world-class culinary institute in Kiryat Shimona, greater Kiryat Shimona area? Because it wasn't about the culinary institute. It was about turning that area into a place of culinary and food technology capital of Israel. And I will tell you for sure, Rabbi, people who are listening to this podcast, in 5 years, they're going to be calling because the best restaurants are going to be in Kiryat Shimona in the Upper Eastern Galilee. The best place to go to culinary school from people from Vietnam, Brazil, America, Israel, all around the world are going to come to learn about the 82 different nationalities that make up the wonderful people of Israel. That's the uniqueness. Cordon Bleu, you learn French cooking. Come to the Galilee Culinary Institute, learn about the wonders of Israel's 82 different nationalities that fuse together and brings the greatest spices and foods around the world. And there, when you're going to call me in 5 years because you can't get your restaurant reservations, you know what? Join our journey now in the Galilee Culinary Institute, and you could get a guaranteed reservation in 5 years.
Put me down.
You got it.
All right. I'm my mouth is watering already thinking about the hummus. Okay. All right. Well, so it's very exciting, and I can see that your vision, as you're saying, to re-envision and to reimagine this whole area is very exciting. And but as you and I know, there's been a lot going on those last few years. There's a lot going on this week. There's a lot happening all the time in Israel and around the world for the Jewish community. And so what, in your view, are the most pressing issues right now, and how does your organization help to address those issues in times of peace and in times of war?
So this is a very easy answer. We have to celebrate Israel as the greatest unifier of our Jewish people. We have to celebrate Zionism as the greatest movement ever in the history of the world. Zionism, which allowed women equal voting rights to men the first time in the world, was at the first Zionist Congress. So if you believe in women's rights, I'm thanking you for being a great Zionist. Zionism that allowed a country called Israel to bring Black people in as citizens, not as slaves. The only country in the world to ever have done that. If you believe in Black rights, thank you for being a Zionist, because you were part of the Zionist movement, because that's Zionism, our ancestral soil coming back to it. But where do we fail? We fail in our teenagers. The American Jewish community, and this is where I get very emotional. American organized Jewish community has given up on Jewish teenagers. And it's a shame. And college is too late. Do whatever you want. It's great. It doesn't work. The business model, you cannot bring a person into a college door, number one, and expect 4 years later to engage them, entertain them, educate them, involve them, activate them, and they don't know anything because the last Jewish experience was their chair dance or their bar bat mitzvah. Now, come on. So you have BBYO is the only real thing happening in the teenage world today. So we bought a school called Alexander Muss High School in Israel. It's a semester abroad experience for teenagers. I'm not going to bring the 250,000 teenagers that are in America today, the Jewish teen, but I'm going to bring 10,000 of them a year. And they're not going to be there for 10 days because it's also tremendously difficult. Take your eighth graders to Israel. It's great. It's 10 days. It doesn't impact them. Bring them there for 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks for a semester abroad. I have 82 teenagers there now, 82 in the middle of this war, 82. 70% of their parents have never been to Israel. 50% of those kids have never been to Israel, and none of them want to leave because they're relating to the land, to our story. Their minds are open at 15, 16 years old. So if you want to do the most, help us bring more kids to Alexander Muss High School in Israel. Go to Try Israel, the conservative movement. Go to Heller High, the reform movement. But at 15, 16, 17, take teenagers to Israel for programs of 5, 7 weeks, 10 weeks, 18 weeks or more. If you want to make a difference for tomorrow, period, invest in teenagers. If you don't care about tomorrow, don't invest. Teenagers, 15, 16, open their mind, they're questioning, they're thinking, they're asking. And if we believe in our story, I don't have to do any propaganda. Come to Israel. Guess what? Rabbi, we're not perfect. I know this is very hard for, I know Jewish mothers think their Jewish children are perfect, but we're not. We're not. But I will tell you, we're the most greatest people on the face of the earth. Israel's a nation that makes the world a better place, not with perfection, because every day we want to be better than yesterday. And we have 3,500 years of winning seasons, and we have to celebrate being the greatest and the winning seasons and quit oy-veying our world. Because if you're oy-veying and you're going to tell everybody how much we've lost and how bad it is and how this everybody hates us, why be part of our team? We're the winningest team on the history of the earth. Join our team. It's great.
We have the resilience for sure to go through a lot. Yes.
And we've done it with great, who've brought more to this world than we have. In arts, in science, in music, in therapy, in government, in mathematics, wow. You want to join the greatest people on the face of the earth? That's us. And I say that without sounding like I'm crazy because I believe it. Why do we want to talk? If I were to ask you about your family, you start telling me about your family, how great it is. You're not going to tell me about your Aunt Matilda who ran over somebody. Now, if I get to know you, you'll all learn about your Aunt Matilda. We have this terrible problem as the Jewish people. We start off our story. Tell me about your family. Oh, I got an Aunt Matilda who ran over somebody 20 years ago. No, I have a great family. I have great grandchildren. I have great children. I have a great wife. I have a great this. I have you know what? Get to know my family. They're not perfect. But by gosh, my family is great because they're being better every day. That's the Jewish people. That's the people of Israel.
You are the greatest cheerleader I've ever heard of the state of Israel, Russell. And I can see why you have been in your position as long as you have. And I commend you for that. And I think it's all about thinking on the positive side. And I love that. So what gives you hope about the future of Jewish communal life right now?
I see these young people. I travel throughout the United States. I spend a lot of time. The fastest growing part of our donor demographic at Jewish National Fund is our JNF Future, our 22 to 40-year-olds across the United States. The fastest growing of our donor demographic, not coming to parties, donors. $1,800 to $5,000 giving money, which means they have to invest. They're not just transactional involvement with us. They're really involved with us. And I see that. I go around and I meet our teenagers who are coming to Alexander Muss High School in Israel. I could tell you 1,000 stories. just from this past 2 years. So who came to our school? October 7th, we had almost 400 kids. We had to send them home by October 12th. January 20th, we've never gone a day without kids at our campus. Who were they? Public school kids. Public school kids who are coming to our campus because, let me tell you what happened. There was a girl who told me she was there because she had a swastika on her locker. So I said, oh, so what happened? She says, I refuse to allow the swastika to be taken off. And I said, well, why? She said, I wanted to show hate and I wanted to stand up to be a Jew. So my next question, of course, is what youth movement are you part of? She said, none. I said, oh, what's your Jewish involvement? She said, my last experience was at my bat mitzvah. So I go, wow. So your parents, they must be like, you know. She goes, no, they've never been to Israel. We're not members of a congregation. So I said, whoa, 2 + 2, hard to equal 4 here. Tell me what, by the way, I could tell you 500 more of these stories. And she said, I started losing my friends. And I came home one day and my mother told me that her best friend's mother called her, who is Jewish, and said, listen, your daughter's been very open and out there. I want them to be friends, but I'd rather them not come to your house. And I told my mother that I will never step foot the rest of my life on that campus, that high school campus again. She was the captain of her soccer team. This is a popular girl.
Mm-hmm.
And her father, by somehow found out about Mus High School in Israel 2 weeks later, paid full tuition, sent her to Israel. Now, this was last April. So I said to her, well, so your parents did not feel safe keeping you in Phoenix, Arizona. They sent you to a war zone in Israel. And she said, I never thought about it that way. And I said, okay, this is April. The semester's going to be over in May. Tell me about it. She says, this is the greatest thing. She goes on and on. I could tell you the footsteps of people, you know, and she's learning her academics. She said, and by the way, I was a very good B+ student. Now I'm an A+ student because my AP calculus class was the best. And my geometry class was great. And my history class was great. So she's learning all of her academics. And I said, so where are you going to go to school next year? She goes, to my high school. I said, you just told me you're never stepping foot. She goes, I'm a Zionist now. I can't wait. What gives me hope? 500, 1,000, 10,000 a year of those stories that I hear. They are our leaders tomorrow. They're not the followers. They're the leaders. I meet them. They're young. They're dynamic. They're asking. They're questioning. They're involved. They want to do things. We have to give them raising the flag and stand tall with them.
Well, you are doing a lot to infuse the enthusiasm about Israel, the state of Israel, and the Israel experience in these young people, and I really commend you for that. Now, if someone who's listening would like to support your efforts in any ways, what are some of the best ways they can do that, and whether it's financially or otherwise?
Well, they always go onto our jnf.org. By the way, we have a global conference every year. It's in San Diego, November this year. It's 2,900 people. I will tell you that I got the report today. We're over 1,500 people signed up, and we don't have even a speaker because it's the greatest Zionist gathering ever. You want to come here? We don't talk about right or left, and we don't talk about religious or non-religious. We talk about Zionism, and people come together, all kinds with tzitzis and dressed like the Golden Globes. So come to our conference. Come on one of our trips to Israel. Go to jnf.org. And you can CEO at jnf.org. You could write to me and get involved. We have to, if you want to sit on the sidelines of the greatest moment of Jewish life, and I know that people have said that many other times, but I believe that more than ever. We've gone through October 7th, Rabbi. We went through the hostage issue. I want you to think about this. Hamas decided who the hostages were. And a group of people whose lives were changed, some of them forever, people who lived in Sderot or Kiryat Shemona or Tel Aviv or Herzliya or Judea, Samaria, People who had never met each other, didn't know each other, were part of the, this one's right wing, this one's left wing, this one's religious, this one's not religious, but Hamas broke those walls down for us. And all of a sudden they had to come together for the hostage forum, and for all those days, fought in protest till Ron Cavillier's body finally came home. And you could talk to those families, and they know each other now, and they're friends. Isn't that a shame that Hamas had to break down those walls? We're building the largest project called the World Zionist Village down in Beersheba to bring together Zionists, Jews and non-Jews, everybody, to have this conversation. So join us at Jewish National Fund. Be part of it. Go to Israel with us. See the real Israel. You want to send a kid to Must High School? You have a niece, a nephew, a brother, a sister, a child. Go on and give us a lead. We'll just talk to them. And there's always, don't worry about the finances. I'm telling you, we have different programs. Dream Israel to earn $7,500 grants. We have scholarships. We'll work with you. Finances isn't the issue. The opportunity to be a leader on the greatest program ever on teenagers. Yes, contribute, be part of our movement, be part of our events. Come to Israel, join us, and you will be taking Jewish life for 100 years from now. They may not know each of your names, but they're not going to say shame on you. They're going to say thank you.
Well, it sounds like you're embracing all of the Jewish community. There's a place for everyone within your umbrella of all your mitzvot that you do. And that's why we're so excited to be able to feature Jewish National Fund USA on Mitzvah Expo. As a final question, I guess I have to ask you, because you've been with the organization for decades now, where do you see the future of Jewish National Fund USA going, and how will you continue to meet the needs of the Jewish people in Israel in future generations?
So I think that our connection, and I go back to what I was saying about teenagers and people and connections, we've had this evolution of time. Israel is a very, new nation. So in 1948, it was created. It was created, and we were part of developing and building it. And we didn't know them, they didn't know us, but we knew them, and they were the Chalutzim, and they were doing the work, and we provided the money. Then it came time when we started getting able to travel there, be part of it. But we came in a lot in the diaspora as the big brother syndrome. We got the money here, we're going to do the projects. We now have to develop a relationship syndrome. That it's not about, and by the way, this is why I debate everybody saying, well, what about the political system in Israel? I said, I don't know. I found out, you're a rabbi, I'm not, but the best of my studies, I found out that Abraham was not a Likud member, and Moses was not a Laborite, and Joseph was not Yesh Atid. So the political system is the way to rule a country. And when people say, well, I have a problem with the political system in Israel, I said, would you rather be dictator? Or, what you're telling me is you like democracy, but you don't like the democracy if you don't win. So I can understand that, because I have my own teams that when they lose, I get mad, but they're my teams. And so I think we have to break down that, and we have to get to meet them and know them. And we do that at the secret sauce of Jewish National Fund. Is I could tell you about the Culinary Institute, and I could tell you about the World Zionist Village or Medical Center, but you know who gets to be involved? Donors. They come and be part of these decision making. And I get to utilize their brains and their power and their knowledge. And I can tell you that I can introduce you to a lay leader in Philadelphia who could tell you everything about the Culinary Institute. He is not paid. He gives us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to be involved in every aspect of it. And we utilize his brains. I give you thousands of those people. We have to build a new movement of that involvement. We have to bring our teenagers, so that diaspora teenagers and Israeli teenagers, and I say it about Israeli, they know more about, Thailand than they do about American Jews. And shame on us. Okay, I just heard an Israeli was telling me he went to a URJ camp after the army. And he's working for me as an intern now. And he said, I got to that camp and I got off the bus and I saw this woman with a yarmulke. Now, he's a non-religious Jew from the center of the country. And he said, I never, ever knew there was a woman rabbi. I said, what do you mean you never knew? I never knew. And then she wore a talit. And so I had to ask her, are there more of you? And then he felt such a shame, because he said, I grew up in Israel. I've been around the world. I'm worldly, right? And now I'm going to, and I don't know anything about American Jews. Nothing. Shame on us. So what do I see the future? Building that engagement of all of us coming together and the power. I say that Israel's a nation of 15.5 million Jews. 8.5 million live within its borders.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned when we first started, that my image of the Jewish National Fund was planting trees primarily, but you're still planting the seeds to grow the state of Israel in so many different ways, not just with trees, but also with human programs, with medical centers and Zionist villages and all the things that you're doing. And I really commend you for this. And I hope that I wish you and the Jewish National Fund lots of continued success and the strength to continue doing mitzvot for the Jewish people and for Israel. And I thank you, Russell, for joining me today on today's program on Mitzvah Expo, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what you do, because your spiritual leadership and your own journey in life is an inspiration for all of us, and that you've decided to take on your life to bring people together, to lead people. That's what we need, so thank you.
Take care. My special thanks to Russell F. Robinson for joining us today and for sharing the important work of Jewish National Fund USA with our Mitzvah Expo listeners. To learn more about Jewish National Fund USA initiatives and about other organizations featured on the program, visit our showcase pages on mitzvahexpo.org. While you're there, we invite you to join the Mitzvah Expo community so you can stay up to date on future programs, featured organizations, and events. We invite you to also share a mitzvah you've done in your own life or community. Your good deed may inspire others and help highlight the many ways people can make a difference. You can listen to Mitzvah Expo on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and listen or watch on YouTube, and of course at mitzvahexpo.org. If you enjoyed the program, please follow or subscribe so more people can discover the inspiring work happening across the Jewish community. And we'd love to hear from you. Please write to me at rabbilindabernstein@gmail.com with your comments and suggestions for future featured Jewish organizations. Get informed, be inspired. For Mitzvah Expo, I'm Rabbi Linda Bernstein.
You've been listening to Mitzvah Expo. Learn more at mitzvahexpo.org.
Mitzvah Expo is a production of Vita Media Corporation.